Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff with Cliff. For those of you that have never seen our show before, basically, we're going to have a conversation. As we're having the conversation, we may or may not go off topic. We'll let you know ahead of time by saying we're going to go off the cuff. We'll come right back. I'd like to introduce Dena. Dena, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Dena Farish. I'm excited to be here. Can I go off the cuff real quickly?
Oh, already?
Because the table is wobbling.
Go ahead.
And I just want to make sure that we're okay.
We're okay.
Okay.
Even if it wobbles, we're off the cuff, so it doesn't really matter whether it's perfect or imperfect. And I'm going to mispronounce a lot of words.
Okay.
So just let it flow.
It should be entertaining.
Be very entertaining. The reason I asked Dena to be on the show is I saw a post that you had, I think it was on Instagram or Facebook, one of the social medias, where you reconnected with somebody from a long time ago. I'd like to talk about that a little bit because, as you know, my mantra is what you know is important, who you know is more important, but who knows what you know is what's most important. So give us a little bit of background on this person.
Well, what's so interesting, and I will touch upon that, is I've been hearing you say that for probably about 17 years now. But the post that you're referring to was a woman I had met in the online space. I work in digital marketing, so I'm always online. I had never met her in person. And the point of my post was that there are people that support you wherever you are, especially in the digital space. And they come back into your life. Maybe you orbit around them for many, many years, and they come back into your life at just the right time.
Could I go off the cuff for a second?
Please do.
So I just want to elaborate on what you said. I've known Dena for, as she said, 17 years, and we knew each other on and off. And it's really strange how we reconnected a couple of years ago. Basically, what happened is Dena's dog got loose. I don't know if you remember this. Her dog got loose, and she was driving around my neighborhood. I had no idea where she lived. And she stopped the car and she said, Cliff, and we had a brief conversation and she did find her dog. And then we decided we were going to get together for a cup of coffee or something. But we had a gap of a few years and we've caught up quite a bit since then. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, I do remember that story. That's very funny. We had a gap of many, many years. Right. And even within that time, who we were as people evolved. What we did for work and business changed, but yet it was the common ground of the original relationship of the foundation that brought us back together.
Exactly. So we were able to pick up where we left off. Yeah. You're in a totally different space. I'm in a totally different space than we were back then. And tell us what you're doing now, because I've seen you evolve over time. And what are you doing now?
I work in digital marketing. I have spent the past decade creating community, connection, and conversions in the online space.
Community, connection, conversions. 3 C's.
My 3 C's. I'm big into alliteration.
I'm going to go off the cuff. I'll tell you anytime I post something with a word spelt wrong or it's out of place or it's graphically incorrect, I get a text message from Dena that says, hey, Cliff, do you know that you misspelled receive? It's I before E except after C. Right. Go ahead, back to the subject.
I am a writer and editor at heart, really. And so that's really how I help people. I craft the words, I craft the content, and I craft their web presence for them. Okay, I'm going to go off the cuff for a second. Back in about 2008, 2009, it might have been around the time I met you or just before that, I owned a company called the Social Media Wizards. Mm-hmm. And that's when social media was first coming out. Nobody really knew what it was. And basically what we did is we taught people the basics of social media, and we did some social media work for them. I got out of that arena because it got way too sophisticated for me. People, they're looking for analytics. They were looking for all kinds of stuff. And so I've seen social media evolve totally, and I give you a lot of credit for what you do. Now, how many followers do you have? I know you have several group pages. Yeah, throughout all the platforms, probably about 15,000, but it's 15, spread out. Yeah.
So here's my thing. So you're out there helping people with social media, right? You help coach them, you help do their stuff, right? So what are your feelings on these people that just jump into an arena and all of a sudden they think they're an expert?
Isn't that interesting? It's so funny that you bring that up because there's a big thing happening in digital marketing right now, specifically where people are just buying resale rights to courses and selling courses and saying that they work in digital marketing. And so the girlfriend that I met up with, who I had only known virtually for about 10 years, her and I were laughing because while you can learn a lot about digital marketing, the only way to truly become an expert at it is to do it and fail and figure out what works.
Correct. Can I go off the cuff for a second?
Please do.
So again, I've been coaching since 2009. And after COVID, everybody became a coach. Now, what does that mean? How are you a business coach if you've never owned a business? How are you a business? I've been in business my entire life. So I know what it's like when I can't pay my mortgage because I have to pay taxes and payroll first. I know what it's like when I can't do what I want to do, and I'm limited because of my resources. Yet these people want to come on board. And unfortunately, what happens is not only do they muddy the waters, but in my opinion, they give these professions the wrong name, right? Because people think that that's the way it is. What's your feelings on that?
I think a lot of things, coaching specifically, are become very watered down.
Correct.
Because people are promising that they are doing something they've never done before.
Okay.
Now, in order for me to confidently sell a sales page to somebody or a website to somebody, I have to know what I'm talking about.
Correct.
I have to have my proof in the pudding. I
Got
had to have, really, in anything in life, I had to have tried it and failed at it and figured out what worked next.
Correct. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people are missing. You know, there are people that say they're business people, but they're not. They work for a large corporation. So if they're not making the decisions, they're not spending their own money, they don't have skin in the game, you're not really a business owner, you're an employee. And I give you a lot of credit because 15,000 to me is a good impressionable number. And I'm sure you market that, right? Because as you said, you are the proof.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I've done it, which is why I can stand firmly in that foundation. But yeah, absolutely. I tell everybody that wants to work with me to check out my social medias. And now I go off and on, right? I took the entire summer off from social media. I chose to do that to be with my kids. And now I'm right back on. And what I love about it is that I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I know what I'm doing.
When you did that and you picked back up after the summer, was there a glitch or a gap where people weren't liking or following or having interactions with as much?
That's interesting. So when you have some type of even small significant following and you stop posting, the algorithms are in your favor when you start posting again.
Okay.
So when I started posting, it was being seen, but being seen and visible is only half of it. If the posts I wrote weren't getting engagement, then it would have fallen off. And within 48 hours, nobody would be seeing my stuff because I did take that time off.
Could you take a second and explain, because even I don't understand it. When you mentioned algorithm, right? You came right back on and bingo, you came on and you started going again. What does that mean? What is an algorithm? What does it do?
An algorithm? Yeah, it charts, well, it basically takes a ton of data about how people are interacting with what you share.
Okay.
And it gives you little check marks, so to speak. So every time you share something that people are interacting with, whether they're liking it, if they're commenting on it, if people are having conversation within your post, that's all data for the algorithm that says people like this.
Okay.
People like this, continue to show it. And so the algorithm says, okay, people are engaging with it. Now it's not reading what people are writing, but people are engaging with it. So we are going to show it more. I think one of the things that I like to share with Facebook specifically, which is Meta, they believe that they're creating community, right? This is why when you go onto Facebook and somebody just had a baby or somebody just got married and people are saying the word congratulations specifically 100 times, that excites Meta because they believe their purpose is to create community. So anytime you can create an experience with something you write or post that creates connection, that creates conversation, that's going to boost you higher in the algorithm.
Okay. So taking Facebook and I have nothing against Facebook. So I know I'm going to share this on Facebook. They'll probably, whatever that's called, they'll blacklist me or whatever. But so a lot of the things that I've done, I use Facebook as the connection, right? Mm-hmm. So it says, would you like to join with Google or Facebook? And I joined with Facebook. And I did that for a lot of things. I did it for my Grammarly. I did it for a couple of other things. And here's my problem. My problem is I got banned from Facebook. And when I got banned from Facebook, I didn't know why I got banned from Facebook. And to try and get back on, it took me almost 6 weeks. I had to do videos, move my face up and down. Everything is automated. There's no phone number to call. But my problem was all of the stuff that I logged in through Facebook, because I couldn't log into Facebook, I had no access to that. And to me, that was like, hey, it's a little different than what you said, because when I started posting again, I was getting 0 responses till I got back up. Because again, I don't know if it's shadow banned or whatever the proper word is. But again, this is nothing against Facebook. I'm sure everybody does that. So Facebook, don't
flag us.
Don't flag us. I'm saying something good about you too, because I believe same thing you do. It's all about a community and engagement.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I love the internet because I believe it really is a world of possibilities. However, Facebook still is a dangerous place, right? So we're still in the beginning of September. My children just went back to school. The amount of personal information that people think is okay to post there, we always have to remember that this will live forever unless you get shadow banned. But it will live forever. And
shadow banned, that's the word I was looking for.
unless you get shadow bans, it will live forever, and there still are dangers with it. So when we use social media intentionally, when we can create connection, right? Again, it's the connection, conversation, conversion. When we can do that right, then we can very, very masterfully use social media for our businesses.
Absolutely. I mean, I've used social media from all of my businesses, and as you know, in 2010, 11, 12, I had 7 businesses at one time. So I used social media because it was the cheapest way for me to advertise. But now with all of the algorithms that they have, and now Facebook wants you to pay for ads and stuff like that, which is fine. It's a business. It should do that. And it's evolved over time. But I think if you put something up there and you don't pay for it, it doesn't get the reach. And sometimes, you think of a post or a program or something, and you say, this is gonna hit a home run, right? You don't get anything on it, but then you post a stupid thing with your dog outside eating ice cream, and the thing takes off.
Yeah, that happens all the time. And so if you're using social media, especially for business, the best thing you can do is just separate emotionally to the outcome, because we all get connected to what are known as vanity metrics.
Right.
How many people?
Sorry, what'd you call it?
Vanity metrics.
Vanity metrics.
Right.
Okay.
How many people are following me? How many people are in my group? How many people liked it? And what's dangerous now in the new age is we start to associate our own self-worth based on these vanity metrics. However, it's not just vanity metrics. It really is engagement. Because if people know you, like you said, if they know you, they like you, and they will want to do business with you. And you can make that happen through the internet as a medium.
I'm going to go off the cuff for a second. What do you think about technology today in general?
That is a loaded question. It's interesting. My perspective is so multifaceted because I have young kids who are being given computers and laptops at an age where I think it's totally inappropriate.
Okay.
I think technology, when used intentionally, is a wonderful bridge for connection.
Can I tell you what I think about technology?
Yeah.
I think it's destroying humanity over time.
It's interesting. So we're going to get shadow banned for what I'm going to say first, but I think absolutely the virus is social media, right? It's an interesting juxtaposition because I make my living on social media. I love social media. I love what can come from it. However, it's a virus. I mean, here we are. Listen, I know this is going to play a few days later, but you and I, it's the day after.
Actually, it's playing today.
Oh, it's playing today. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is very timely. Here we are the day after the presidential debates. Right. There's nothing that can come. There's no positive feeling for me personally that can come from interacting with posts like that. It's either going to get me mad or it's going to get me fired up. Right. But that's part of the dangers of it. So we get sucked in emotionally. Now I'm going to go off the cuff if it's okay.
Go ahead. Do it.
The purpose of being online and the way to enhance your business by using it is to connect emotionally. We have to do that. Right. However, the dangers of social media happen is because we're all getting emotionally triggered by things that somebody else is saying or somebody else is posting. And so we're putting ourselves in places of low vibration or mindsets that don't work for us. We don't even know why. So there's so many beautiful possibilities with the internet. That's even my tagline on my email.
What's that?
Living in a world of possibilities.
Living in a world of possibilities.
And I truly believe that the internet.
Can I steal that?
You can borrow it. We can share.
I can borrow it.
You can share it. But that's my tagline. That's my sign out on my emails. And I truly believe that the internet is a world of possibilities, but we have to also remember to use it with intention.
Could I sort of go off the cuff, but it's pretty much the same thing. So I went to a wedding just last weekend, and at the wedding, it was my nephew's wedding, and his sisters all have children. And in this wedding, they had all of the kids as part of the wedding party, which I thought was, wow, that's fantastic. There's 8 or 10, 12 kids or whatever it was. But, at the reception, these kids are running around and doing stuff all over the place. And I was talking to one of my nieces who had recently got married. And for somehow, I have no idea, we started talking about kids and, whether or not she's going to have children. And so she said to me, and so I'm not going to mention names because my nieces sometimes watch me and I don't want to piss them off. So Paula and Janet, this has nothing to do with you, okay? It's not you. And she gave me the correlation of her 2 sisters. So she's got one sister that has 4 children, and her kids are very, very well behaved, but they're not allowed. They're younger. They don't have an iPad. They don't have an iPhone. They're limited to how much TV they can have. And then I have my other niece, her sister, who's got 2 children, and even at the wedding, to keep them quiet, they handed them an iPhone or an iPad. So the kids are sitting there doing that. And she said to me, she says, look, I don't know what type of mom I'm going to be, but I'd like to be someplace in between because in her mind, the sister that was putting all of their children, that's that's their behavior. They want that iPad, they want that phone. They don't socialize. Where my other niece's children, they were going around to the table, hugging people, having conversations. The other two didn't want to be bothered. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that is such a loaded question. And I have so many strong opinions. I think what we're not realizing when we give children tablets and phones and iPads is that their brain is releasing dopamine, right?
Okay.
So every time they're watching a game, they're playing a game, they're getting excited, and their brain is releasing dopamine. And so we're teaching these young children to associate happiness, joy, and validation with things that are not real.
Got it.
Okay, and this is really important. We're also teaching children that going out to eat is a singular experience where you can zone out and stay like this. We're not teaching children how to communicate, how to make eye contact.
Right.
We're not teaching children how to deal with discomfort, right? Because now you see
or conflict.
Absolutely.
Or conflict.
Absolutely. Because now you see the tablets, even in the school, administrators are using that as a regulation tool. So we're not teaching our children coping skills. We're just giving them what's easiest as parents, which is the distraction, right? And this distraction is releasing serotonin and dopamine within their brains, and they are
those are big words. Explain those to me.
They're your happiness hormones.
Okay.
Your happiness hormones. And our bodies, they're these little babies' bodies are learning to associate happiness with something that is completely artificial. Now, when we know the dangers of bullying and social media and all of the terrible things that young children can be exposed to, it's very dangerous to teach children that happiness comes from a tablet and that it's not from connection and it's not from working through conflict, right? We need this next generation needs to understand how to have uncomfortable conversations.
Correct.
And
I agree 100%.
You can't do that watching YouTube all day long.
I agree 100%. You know, I'm going to go off the cuff for a second.
Let's do it.
So I was walking Smokey and Bandit actually this morning. And so I walk around the different neighborhood, not your side, I go to the other side. And where I live, we don't have sidewalks. So I actually have to go into one of two neighborhoods to walk my dogs. And I'm walking my dogs, and out of the clear blue, this woman walking her children to school says, and I don't know this woman, I've never seen her person, is that Smokey and Bandit? I says, yeah, that's Smokey and Bandit. I said, how do you know them? She says, she says, because you walk past my sister's house and her 3-year-old gets so excited when they see your dogs. And I said, really? And she told me the house that they were at. And she says, they just love your dogs. They've never met them, but they love their dogs. And she says, they're actually afraid of dogs. She says, but they get excited when they see your dog. So the point is, I didn't even know this lady, but because my dogs go around, you don't know how you're influencing somebody's life just in basic actions that you do every day. So let's go full circle and go back to where we started, right? So we started with meeting up with people you haven't seen for a long time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can meet up with people and you're glad you haven't met up with them in a long time. Have you ever been in one of those situations?
Nothing that is coming off the top of my head. Maybe once real quickly where my husband had a falling out with his friend group, and years later through COVID, we reconnected over our dog actually. And you know, there was
people love animals and babies, right? On social media, right?
Absolutely.
I got that. I mean, I got one that went, I'm going to call it viral because it was probably 5,000 or 6,000 people viewed it. But it was my two dogs dancing to, Who Let the Dogs Out. But I mean, it's incredible. And I sit there sometimes, I come up with these sophisticated sayings, advice, insights, and nobody even likes the damn thing.
Put the pictures of the dogs on.
Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you believe, and this is just my own feeling, and I know we have to wrap this up soon. Sometimes people connect to me that I went to high school with. And now I only remember them as my friend on on the chess club or something like that. And now you reconnect, and we're all voyeurs by nature. So you take a look, and then you go through their pictures and stuff, and you say, wow, I never thought when I was growing up with this person that they could be a doctor or a lawyer or this or that. This guy was a total idiot. And now all of a sudden he's a doctor and he's doing all this stuff. And I guess it's the progression, but your image of somebody earlier to now sometimes could be a big swing.
That's so true. Well, actually, it brings to mind one of my favorite posts that I see, and that's, if you knew me in high school, no, you didn't.
Yes, good quote.
No, you didn't.
I'm going to steal that one too.
Yeah, because even for me, I think about, if you knew me in early motherhood, no, you didn't. Because life is full of transitions, and when we allow ourselves to embrace the transitions, we can shed the layers, right, of who we have been and come back together. Because when we didn't really talk about this, but I'll go off the cuff a little bit, because when we first met, I was a personal trainer.
Right.
And everything was about fitness and training
Correct.
people,
Correct.
and even when I became a mom, I started a stroller fitness business.
Okay.
So that was very heavily ingrained, where you might have thought, hey, this is what Dena does. I only know Dena from
That's
fitness,
exactly right.
Right. But my layers shed and new layers come in, and I evolved in my own work. And so when we came back together, we didn't come back. It wasn't the high school version of me.
Correct.
It wasn't even the personal trainer version
Right.
of me. We were able to come back. But the reason why we came back was because our previous connections were positive.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So if you were the type of person that left a bad taste in my mouth,
I would have just waved to you and said, yeah, good luck finding your dog.
Right. But there was a connection, right? So even though the connection had stopped for a handful of years, there was still that connection. There was still the feeling of, this is somebody I can go to. This is somebody I can trust. This is a trusted mentor.
Right.
Right. And so all these years later, with all my layers shedding and becoming a different version of myself, work-wise and personally, and you as well, we were able to come back
Correct.
together. And
That's a very, very good point.
Have a better
Very,
connection.
very good point. We're running out of time. I just want to let you know that off the cuff, if you'd like to be part of the program, all you have to do is just send me an email to offthecuff@gmail.com. I'm sorry, off the cuff with Cliff. I always get it wrong. I call it sometimes off the wall with Cliff, but it's off the cuff with Cliff@gmail.com. I'd be happy to interview. We'd be happy to do this. If you like this, I'd ask you to please subscribe to my channel, like and share this post. If there's something you didn't like about it, send me an email, but I look forward to doing more things. And Dena, I'm going to have you on the show again because I think you're a fantastic insight. You're refreshing, and we need to talk about how when we have conversations, sometimes we agree not to agree on things. But that's another show. Anyway, thank you for coming on the program. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.